Are Poisoned Wind Mortars any good in patch 6.2.2? Now, see, Skaven are only supposed to have 2 pieces of artillery, and both are pretty good for what they do. Mortars are a tier 4 building recruited 3rd piece of artillery in effect, just technically a weapons team. That should guide your thought process to this video. They're not Ratling Gunners, they're artillery! On 2 paws. Let's calibrate our understanding. Recruited for 1100 gold and 275 upkeep. This is another unit Ikit Claw gives no upkeep reductions to, but he might want a couple regardless. On Ultra Scale, you get 12 entities with 3,936 health, so the same kind of health as Ratling Guns, but spread among far fewer entities. Given that Armor 70 is only decent, Leadership 50 is middling at best, Speed 38 and Charge Speed 45 is not inferior to other weapons teams, except Jazea's, so they can get around far better than plodding Plague Claw catapults. Melee attack 14 is particularly despairing, attack interval 4.3 no solace, no melee splash. Melee defense 16 won't stop much. Weapon strength 18 is split base 14 and armor piercing 4, so consider melee effectively non-existent. Charge bonus is 2 and mass is 150 at this low number of entities. A giant can punt them straight into the end times. Ammunition begins at the low-seeming 14 rounds, but you have 12 entities that will be firing 14 each, assuming you don't lose any. Range is 250 or a good deal lower than a Plague Claw. Missile damage is given as 59, with magical attack and inflicting the Poisoned Wind effect for 12 to 25 damage as a dot. The point being, you can inflict this dot at much further ranges than Globadiers, potentially far safer to your own troops. Ahem, potentially. An unlucky enemy being struck directly takes 8 base and 46 armor-piercing damage. Detonation radius 6 is definitely mortar-like, base 12 and AP 16 within that radius. Remember, 12 entities firing. Reload time is 14 seconds, total accuracy starts at the standard 20, calibration distance of 175, meaning that they will get extra wonky past that range. Calibration area 300, which is modified by the accuracy, meaning they have pretty wonky spread. I'm not sure how this would work in practice, but in principle this shell has a small multi-target penetration size, and can damage 4 targets after the first before exploding, or more likely passing through a clump of models and hitting the ground. I saw a YouTube video in the run-up to this script showing a mortar unit being particularly awful at firing from the back at an immobile enemy force. Here's the thing, that unit was under strength at that point. If you have a full 12 entities firing just by sheer dumb luck, you're going to hit some of the time, right? Right. Traits as standard are Hide and Forest, but I'll have to note, real artillery can't, Scurry Away, and Strength in numbers. In the Redline skills, Blast Master at 3 pips provides plus 20% ammunition and 8% reload time reduction. Warp Smart gives rank 7 and up mortars, leadership plus 5, missile strength plus 12%, and 15% spell resistance. In the tech tree, Enormous Caches is a key tech, offering minus 5% upkeep, plus 25% ammunition, which is very nice for this. Ensure product quality adds plus 10% range and plus 10% missile strength, we want that. Reject Poor Recruits adds plus 2 to recruit rank. Requisition Protective Gear adds plus 10 armor. Keep in mind, mortars have an unusually low amount of ammunition, but long range. The upgrades may feel impactful. Speaking of upgrades, the Forbidden Workshop has a few goodies specific to this one unit type. If you haven't seen my video, PSA, scroll down and you'll see the part for mortars. Trust me, it's actually there. You just don't see it. Warpstone Lung grants 15% reload time reduction right off the bat. If you're using the mortars at all, this is precious and powerful, letting you front-load damage before most enemies can effectively respond. Pestilent Wind is not just dishing out a dot, but also inflicts minus 10 leadership on enemy forces. This gets extremely powerful when combined with other leadership debuffs. Finally, Iris of the Chaos Moon adds plus 12% range, and given that this unit has to deal with all kinds of long-range harassment fire potentially, being able to get the first few shots off on the enemy uninterrupted is a big help. Ushabti Great Bows would be an example of a unit mortars hate to fight because of similar range, low entity count, and big AP bow damage. So how do we use Poisoned Wind mortars? As I've emphasized, this unit is honorary artillery. It's trying to spread the dot around using its inaccuracy, not simply suffering from it. Since in many cases, it can deliver its damage with complete impunity, it has to try and maximize the damage while remaining out of reach, which unfortunately has the effect of compromising its accuracy further. Anything that slows down or stops the enemy is going to help break apart blobs, so we immediately think of rattling guns and warp grinders. Vermintide summons, of course, are another way, with Menace Belows serving as a substitute. Hero and single entity blocking helps too. Anyway, other than that, remember the damage is still armor piercing, tilted, and detonation radius 6 is quite strong. And the extra powder passive on a Warlock Engineer increases explosion damage plus 10%, and that's most of what the Mortars will do in practice. Abuse this combination whenever possible. You absolutely can't rely on Mortars to end a fight, particularly, and I probably cut out a bunch of this dead space in the videos, but they're really bad at firing at targets that are fairly close to them. It's a very high arc, and they need distance to make those shots. But you can rely on them to pile up damage with less risk and effort, at least until the lines close, and turn things in your favor early. What you really want to do is walk an annoyed enemy into kill zones. That's what other weapons teams are for, and if you're boosting one, you're boosting all, except possibly war grinders, and the skill for that boosts your real artillery and war machines. Try the Mortars, they do a different thing than the other artillery, and the arc is, like I said, much higher than those other ones have, which can be a huge advantage in difficult terrain at times. Certain settlement maps, not so much. Take care and have fun providing some radioactive additives to the enemy's diet. It is most definitely not healthy.